Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Tonight reciters are Girish Prabhuji will be reciting in Sanskrit and Suparna Mataji will be reciting in English from Canto 3, Chapter 26, verses 59 to 72. So Girish Prabhuji, whenever you're ready, can you please start with invocation 3 times? Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Canto 3, Chapter 26, Text 59. Nadasyosya nirbhidyanta tabhyo lohitma bhritam nadhyastata sambhavan udaram nirbhidayat.
Translation: the veins of the universal body became manifested, and thereafter the red corpuscles or blood. In their wake came the rivers, the deities presiding over the veins, and then appeared an abdomen.
Text 60. Shutpipase tata syatam samudrastavetyorubhut athasya hirdayam bhinnam hirdayanaman utthitam.
Translation: next grew feelings of hunger and thirst, and in their wake came the manifestation of the oceans. Then a heart became manifest, and in the wake of the heart the mind appeared.
Text 61. Mansa chandarma jato buddhir giram patihi ahankaras tato rudru aschitam chetya sattato bhavat.
Translation: after the mind, the moon appeared. Intelligence appeared next. And after intelligence, Lord Brahma appeared. Then the false ego appeared. And then Lord Shiva. And after the appearance of Lord Shiva came consciousness and the deity presiding over consciousness.
Text 62. Etehya bhuyitthata deva neva syotha thapane shakan punra vivushukhani tamuthayapi yutam krumat.
Translation: when the demigods and presiding deities of the various senses were thus manifested, they wanted to wake the origin of appearance, but upon failing to do so, they re-entered the body of the Virat Purusha, one after another, in order to wake him.
Text 63. Banirvacha mukham bheje nodatistada virat grane nasike vayur noditistadat virat.
Translation: the god of fire entered his mouth with the organ of speech, but the Virat Purusha could not be aroused. Then the god of wind entered his nostrils with the sense of smell, but still the Virat Purusha refused to be awakened.
Text 64. Akshini chakshushadityo nodatistada virat shrotren karno cha disho nodatistada virat.
Translation: the sun god entered the eyes of the Virat Purusha with the sense of sight, but still the Virat Purusha did not get up. Similarly, the predominating deities of the directions entered through his ears with the sense of hearing, but still he did not get up.
Text 65. Tvacham roma virashadyo nodatistada virat retsa shishnu mapastu nodatistada virat.
Translation: the predominating deities of the skin, herbs, and seasoning plants entered the skin of the Virat Purusha with the hair of the body, but the cosmic being refused to get up even then. The predominating over water entered his organ of generation with the faculty of procreation, but the Virat Purusha still would not rise.
Text 66. Gudam mrityurpane noda tishtada virat. Hastavindro balenev noda tishtada virat.
Translation. The god of death entered his anus with the organ of defecation, but the Virat Purusha could not be spurred to activity. The god Indra entered the hands with the power of grasping and dropping things, but the Virat Purusha would not get up even then.
Text 67. Vishnurgatev charno noda tishtada virat. Nadirnadhyo lohiten noda tishtada virat.
Translation. Lord Vishnu entered his feet with the faculty of locomotion, but the Virat Purusha refused to stand up even then. The rivers entered his blood vessels with the blood and the power of circulation, but still the cosmic being could not be made to stir.
Text 68. Shuturungabhyamudram sindhur noditishtada virat. Hridyam mansa chandro nodatishtada virat.
Translation. The ocean entered his abdomen with the hunger and thirst, but the cosmic being refused to rise even then. The moon god entered his heart with the mind, but the cosmic being would not be roused.
Text 69. Buddhya Brahma pi hridyam nodatishtada virat. Rudro abhimatya hridyam nodatishtada virat.
Translation. Brahma also entered his heart with intelligence, but even then the cosmic being could not be prevailed upon to get up. Lord Rudra also entered his heart with the ego, but even then the cosmic being did not stir.
Text 70. Chitten hirdayam chetya kshetragya pravishadya dada virat tade purusha salila dudatishtata.
Translation. However, when the inner controller, the deity presiding over consciousness, entered the heart with reason, at that very moment the cosmic being arose from the causal waters.
Text 71. Yatha parsuptam purusham pranendriya manodhiha prabhavanti vinayena nothapayut mojasa.
Translation. When a man is sleeping, all his material assets, namely the vital energy, the senses for recording knowledge, the senses for working, the mind, and the intelligence, cannot arouse him. He can be aroused only when the Supersoul helps him.
Text 72. तस्मिन् प्रत्यगात्मानं धिया योगप्रवर्तया भक्त्या विरक्त्या ज्ञानेन विविच्यात्मनि चिन्तयेत्.
Translation. Therefore, through devotion, detachment, and advancement in spiritual knowledge, acquired through concentrated devotional service, one should contemplate that super soul as present in this very body, although simultaneously apart from it.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Suparna Mataji and Girish Prabhuji, for very nice recitation. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Oh, thank you so much. Hare Krishna, everyone. So today we are discussing verses 62 to 68 of chapter 26, canto 3. So with your permission, we can begin. Prabhuji and Mataji did such nice recitation. I'll give it a try. Etehi abhyuthita deva naishya syotapane sakam punar avi visukhani tam utthapaitun kramat. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. When the demigods and presiding deities of the various senses were thus manifested, they wanted to wake their origin of appearance. But upon failing to do so, they re entered the body of the Virat Purusha, one after another, in order to wake him. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In order to wake the sleeping deity controller within, one has to rechannel the sense activities from concentration on the outside to the concentration inside. In the following verses, the sense activities which are required to wake the Virat Purusha will be explained very nicely. Verse 63. Vanirvacha mukham bheje nodatishtat tadavirat grihanena nasike vayur nodatishtat tadavirat. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The god of fire entered his mouth with the organ of speech, but the Virat Purusha could not be aroused. Then the god of wind entered his nostrils with the sense of smell, but still the Virat Purusha refused to be awakened. Verse 64. Akshini chakshusa dityo nodatishta tada virat srutrena karanau chadisho nodatishta tada virat. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The sun god entered the eyes of the Virat Purusha with the sense of sight, but still the Virat Purusha did not get up. Similarly, the predominating deities of the directions entered through his ears with the sense of hearing, but still he did not get up. Verse 65. Tvacham romabhir osadeo nodatishta tada virat retasa shishnam apastu nodatishta tada virat. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The predominating deities of the skin, herbs and seasoning plants entered the skin of the Virat Purusha with the hair of the body, but the cosmic being refused to get up. Even then, the god predominating over water entered his organ of generation with the faculty of procreation, but the Virat Purusha still would not rise. Text 66. Gudam Rityur Apanena Nodatishta Tada Virat Hastavindro Bolineva Nodatishta Tada Virat. Translation. The god of death entered his anus with the organ of defecation, but the Virat Purusha could not be spurred to activity. The god Indra entered the hands with the power of grasping and dropping things, but the Virat Purusha would not get up even there. Verse 67. Vishnur Gatyeva Charanau Nodatishta Tada Virat Nadir Nadyo Lohitena Nodatishta Tada Virat. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Vishnu entered his feet with the faculty of locomotion, but the Virat Purusha refused to stand up even then. The rivers entered his blood vessels with the blood and the power of circulation, but still the cosmic being could not be made to stir. The last verse for today. Shutridbhyam udaram sindhur nodatishta tada virat hridayam manasa chandro nodatishta tada virat. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The ocean entered his abdomen with hunger and thirst, but the cosmic being refused to rise even then. The moon entered his heart with the mind, but the cosmic being would not be roused. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं त्वं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिकान्त राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी श्रीराधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुदेव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चातारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna, everyone. I seek your blessings that I can say something which is useful and in line with the parampara. I seek for forgiveness if I say anything which is either incorrect or not in line. I have no realizations or knowledge, but just trying to repeat what I've heard from the various people in our sampradaya on this particular topic. So with your permission, maybe we can just orient ourselves where we are in the chapter. So this is third canto. The conversation is happening between Mother Devahuti and Lord Kapiladev. And we are towards the end of chapter 26, which is titled Fundamental Principles of Material Nature. So this is all about creation and mostly talking about, if we go back to the 5 topics of Bhagavad Gita, mostly talking about material nature of Prakriti. So it's the chapter started by talking about the benefits of hearing Sankhya philosophy, where the 3 benefits which were identified were freedom from modes of material nature, which is one of the biggest challenges. The second is self-realization, and third was cutting the knot of attachment, which is so important. Then from verses 3 to 8, it was about Jiva, Prakriti, and Purusha interactions and characteristics. So it starts by Lord's interaction with Prakriti, which is just a pastime by his will, and then the Jiva's interaction with Prakriti, which leads to his bondage. So the Lord is transcendental to Prakriti, as we know, and the Jiva gets bound through interaction with Prakriti. And then the next section goes into the characteristics of Pradhan, time, Mahatattva, and other elements. And it goes through, the characteristics and products of Pradhan, then the characteristics of time, the characteristics of Mahatattva and Chitta, characteristics of false ego, then characteristics of products of false ego in Sattva and Rajas, the mind, intelligence, and senses. And then it goes into characteristics of products of false ego and Tamas, which is Tanmantras and 5 gross elements. Then it talks about the Karishrishti. It goes into creation of various limbs of Virat Rupa in the last few verses, 54 to 61. And then we get into this last section, which is verses 62 to 72, where the Devatas are attempting to wake the Virat Purusha. But finally, only Vasudev, when the Lord himself enters, he was successful, and the Virat Purusha did not wake up as the other Devtas were trying to wake him up. There's only one purport. Maybe we can just read it quickly again in verse 62. Sorry, I'm just going back to that verse. I'll just read the translation again and then the purport. So the verse 62, the translation was, when the demigods and presiding deities of the various senses were thus manifested, they wanted to wake their origin of appearance. But upon failing to do so, they re-entered the body of Virat Purusha one after another in order to wake him. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In order to wake the sleeping deity, controller within, one has to rechannel the sense activities from concentration on the outside to concentration inside. In the following verses, the sense activities which are required to wake the Virat Purusha will be explained very nicely. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, so this is still continuation of the Sankhya yoga philosophy, and there is a lot of description around the creation itself and the Prakriti. And in this section, the Virat Purusha is lying down, but is not woken yet till the Lord Vasudeva enters as Chitta and wakes him up. It clearly shows that without the sanction of the Lord, nothing can happen. One cannot be woken up. And even the demigods, even though they were trying very, very hard, they cannot change that. And Prabhupada especially mentions here that we need to rechannel the sense activities from concentration on the outside to concentration inside, which is where the manifestation of the Virat Purusha within us is the Paramatma. And we know how the Paramatma is not very active in some people and very active in the others. The more the pure a devotee it is, the Paramatma would be talking to them. We know of Narad Muni having the darshan of Paramatma as he was meditating on the Lord, and then the Paramatma disappeared, but at least was talking to him. We know how the Goswamis had Paramatma speaking to them. We also know of various, pastimes in Jagannath Puri where the devotees get a dream or the Paramatma speaks to them. Vardharaj and the deity, as to how the deity would speak. So we know of enough stories of people where either the deity themselves or the Paramatma, where the Paramatma is very active, speaks, whereas when the Paramatma is not very active, still in the early stages of our purification process. As in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadati buddhi yogam tam yena mamupyantite. Those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they come to me. So like the Paramatma reveals himself once we are constantly serving him with love, but doesn't happen that quickly, as he also says, Sarupadi vinirmuktam tat pravartena nirmalam rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchate. So rishikesha, he's the master of the senses. And we have to, like with the spirit soul, fully surrendered into the supreme, serve, like engaging all the senses in the service of the Lord. And that is how the Paramatma inside us wakes up over a period of time. We also know, it's gives the wisdom over a period of time. So here, Lord Kapila is talking about three things: the sense itself, the sense organ, and the sense deity, and how they had appeared first, and then in order to wake up the Virat Purusha, they were going into the body itself. So, Lord Kapila is talking about first how the sense organ being mouth, and then the subtle sense organ is the speech or the Vani itself, and the sense Devta, the presiding deity of that particular organ, and that subtle sense is fire god. So how he enters the mouth to wake up the Virat Purusha, and then Vayu, who is the wind god, he enters the nostrils, and he's the presiding deity of the olfactory sense, or the one where the sense of smell. We also know after that Surya, who is the sun god, he enters via the Virat Purusha's eyes to give the sense of sight. Dik Devatas enter the ears, as the presiding deity of the auditory senses. The herbs, the Devatas of the skin, Oshadya, they who are the presiding deities of sense of touch, they enter via the skin or the hair, the mustache, the beard. So the Twak, the Roma, the Smarshu, Smashru. Then the deities of the water, who is Varun Dev, he enters, he's presiding deity of semen, he enters via the genitals. Then the deity of death, Mrityu, he is the presiding deity of organs of defecation, he enters via the anus, Kudam. Then Indra, who is the presiding deity of power of grasping and dropping things, he enters via the hands. Then form of Lord Vishnu himself, he enters, he's the presiding deity of process of movement of legs, he enters via the legs. The rivers, the deities presiding over the veins, who is the presiding deity of blood, he enters via the veins. Then finally ocean, who is the presiding deity of feeling of hunger and thirst, enters via the abdomen. But none of these could wake up the Lord till Vasudeva himself who enters, which is the next verse, and then the Lord, the Virat Purusha wakes up. Yeah. I mean, if you look at the Virat Purusha is the material form of Krishna, and it is saying like. Till Krishna is there, none of the activities are possible, however much the demigods may try. Without Krishna's sanction, even a blade of grass cannot move. And these particular shlokas prove it even more. Krishna is the actual consciousness, and without him entering, or Vasudeva as it is called, nothing can happen. As Krishna says, Aham Sarvasya Prabhu, like he is the source of everything. He's also the controller of everything. Yeah, and same with our bodies. We have the same senses, we have everything, but till the soul and super soul are there, there's no life. And the question is how much time we spend time to feed the soul, and the soul's soul, which is the Paramatma, rather than feed the senses, which is what tried hard to wake up the person. There's a story of Sarang Thakur, who was a close associate of Lord Chaitanya. It so happens that one day Lord Chaitanya asks him to become guru and initiate others. And he takes a vow as a result of Lord Chaitanya requesting him to become a guru and initiate others or give diksha to others. He takes a vow that whoever he meets, the first person in the morning next day, he will initiate him. So he goes to take bath in Ganga. After he has taken his bath, the first thing he sees is a dead body that comes to him. And as soon as he sees the dead body, he remembers his promise that he will initiate the first person he sees. So he initiates by taking the holy name in his ear. And lo and behold, the person wakes up, and he names him, he gives him the name Sarang Murari. From the story, we can learn that we're like the dead body. So when Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, while our inner Paramatma is not fully live, giving us instructions, but when the Guru or the Sadhus or the Shastras give us instruction, then we become alive. So for us, where we are still in the process, or for those of us like me who are still in the early process of their devotional service, the only way to become alive, like when the Virat Purusha wakes up, is through follow the process of devotional service sincerely, but follow the instructions or take the instructions from Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. And we know how, like the example of our own Srila Prabhupada, he was 70 years old. And if you look at most 70-year-old people, they are in the tail end of their life, almost retiring. But the Paramatma inside him was so energetic, like that he had the energy to go and spread the movement all over the world. He was so alive from inside. There was a conversation that Srila Prabhupada was having with Tamal Krishna Maharaj, that, where Srila Prabhupada was saying, I've made Mayapur so that when you guys get old, you can retire there. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj asked Prabhupada, so Prabhupada, now you're old, you should retire. He said, no, 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 for me there is no retirement. I'm going to keep going till I have the last breath. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, oh, so then we are also going to follow your footsteps and we'll not retire till our last breath. And when we see so many sannyasis in a movement, like Jayapataka Maharaj, he's not so well, but still, he's so inspiring when you see him. Um, like traveling all over the world to preach and to even initiate disciples and others. His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj is like just celebrated his 75th appearance day, and like he's traveling around the world. Gopal Krishna Maharaj, before he left the planet, he was doing the same. Like all the sannyasis and Srila Prabhupada's disciples, they're so alive and so energetic because their sincerity and the surrender to Guru Sadhu Shastra and in the whole um, instructions of Srila Prabhupada are so alive. I mean, Sankhya philosophy also talks a lot about the various constituents of material nature. One may argue, why do we need to know about all this? I mean, at the end of the day, this is also the external energy of the Lord. And if we want to love our Lord, we need to know about all aspects of the Lord to get to know Him and develop a relationship with Him. And also, this philosophical analysis of the Prakriti, it also further helps us fortify our detachment and disinterest in the objects of material enjoyment. Like even in these verses we discussed, we are talking about so many senses and sense objects and the sense organs and the presiding deities of those senses. And it tells us that it's not going to give us what we want. His Holiness Keshav Maharaj was giving an example um, of the monkeys. He was saying in times of the past, monkeys would destroy the crops in the field, so the farmers were really, really, um, um, worried and disturbed because the monkeys were destroying crops and there were hundreds of monkeys. So, given that they were non-violent at heart, the farmers, they wanted to employ some way of catching them without harming the monkeys through a permanent injury. So what they did was they find a way to catch these monkeys. So what they did was took coconuts and did a small hole in the cover of the coconut. And then what they did was they made the holes just big enough so that the hand of the monkey can slide in. And then inside that, they put a banana inside, so that the monkey would put the hand um, inside the coconut shell and then can hold the banana. But once the monkey would hold the banana, then it cannot get the hand out as long as it was holding the banana. So Maharaj was saying how hundreds of monkeys came where they put all these little coconut shells with the hole and a banana on the various trees, and the monkeys went up and then they held the banana. But once they were holding the banana, they could not get their hand out. And lo and behold, all the farmers came, they caught hold of the monkeys, and then they, took them elsewhere. But none of the monkey actually left the banana to to take their hand out. So he was explaining how attachments through the senses and sense objects are binding us in this world, where as a monkey placed a greater value to the banana than his own freedom, similarly we are holding to the perpetual attraction of these sense objects. And while they are not satisfying our desires in any case, but we are holding on to this and not leaving on to this, and not detaching ourselves from these objects of sense gratification. But this philosophical systems like Sankhya, they break down the principles of matter and awaken the spirit of detachment in us. I'm going to maybe pause there. I hope what I shared made sense. If there are any corrections, comments, questions, we can maybe have some discussion. If not, we can maybe close it there. Thank you so much. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhudevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
everyone.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare
Thank you, Prabhuji, for
Krishna.
the nice class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.